Lieutenant Ethan Reeves stood perfectly still as the blue light of the scanner moved over his body. 4 tall Celestian guards watched him closely, their weapons pointed at his chest. He had voluntarily come aboard the Midnight Talon, but they still treated him like a dangerous enemy. Ethan was tall for a human with broad shoulders and strong arms. Years of military training had made him fit and alert. His blue flight suit had the Earth Defense Force symbol on the shoulder, a blue planet with stars around it. "The scan is complete," one guard said. "No hidden weapons." "Take him to the Admiral," another ordered. They led Ethan through long, dark hallways. The Celestian ship was much larger than any human vessel. The walls were made of a strange black metal that seemed to absorb light. Ethan noticed how the alien crew stopped to stare at him. Many had never seen a human before. The guards brought him to a large room at the center of the ship. Admiral Kailara Vexthul stood by a window, looking out at the stars. She turned slowly to face him. Ethan had seen images of Celestians, but they didn't prepare him for meeting one in person. The Admiral was nearly 7 feet tall, with blue-purple skin that seemed to shimmer in the light. Her silver eyes studied him with cold interest. "So, this is the human who damaged my ship," she said. Her voice was deep and musical. "You are either very brave or very stupid, Lieutenant Ethan Reeves." "I prefer to think I'm practical," Ethan replied calmly. "Fighting would cost many lives on both sides." Kailara walked around him in a circle, like a predator studying its prey. "Your little trick with the warp core was clever. Not many species have found ways to counter our technology." "We're good at adapting," Ethan said. "Humans have always been quick learners." The Admiral stopped in front of him. "Why are you here? What do you hope to achieve by talking to me? I have orders to subdue your planet and add it to the Empire." Ethan met her gaze without flinching. Most of her crew couldn't look her in the eyes, but he didn't look away. "I'm here because you need to know why we destroyed those Celestian ships," he said. "It wasn't just about defending our colonies. There's something much more dangerous happening, and your empire is in danger too." Kailara laughed, a cold sound that echoed in the large room. "My empire has ruled this galaxy for thousands of years. What could possibly threaten us?" "The void parasites," Ethan said simply. The Admiral's face changed. For just a moment, she looked surprised, even afraid. Then her cold expression returned. "How do you know that name?" she demanded. "Those are classified Imperial records. We encountered them a decade ago," Ethan explained. "A small group at first on one of our outer colonies. They consumed everything, plants, animals, people. They left nothing but empty, dead worlds behind them." Kailara turned away, looking back at the stars. "If you're trying to distract me with stories, the ships we destroyed weren't attacking our colonies because of Imperial orders," Ethan interrupted. "They were infected. The crews were already gone, replaced by the parasites. We tried to warn them to communicate, but they just attacked." The Admiral spun around, her face angry. "You lie. My ships would report such an infestation." "Not if—" "The communications officers were the first infected," Ethan said quietly. "The parasites are intelligent. They know how to hide until they've taken over completely." Before Kailara could respond, the door opened and a smaller Celestian female rushed in. "Admiral," she said urgently. 3 unknown vessels have appeared at the edge of this system. They're not responding to Imperial codes." Kailara looked at Ethan sharply. "Is this some human trick? Are these your ships?" Ethan shook his head. "What do they look like?" The smaller Celestian, who Ethan guessed was Lieutenant Lyra from the intelligence reports, checked her data pad. "Black hulls, no visible lights or windows. They're absorbing our scan signals instead of reflecting them." "Void ships," Ethan said grimly. "They followed me. Or they followed you. Either way, they're here." Kailara's hand moved to her weapon. "If you're lying—" The ship suddenly shuddered violently. The lights flickered and a loud alarm began to sound. "Admiral," Lyra called out. "They're attacking. Our outer shields are failing." "Impossible," Kailara said. "Nothing can break through our shields that quickly." Ethan stepped closer to her. "The parasites adapt. They learn from every ship they consume." If they've taken over Celestian vessels, they now know how your shields work. Kalara stared at him for a long moment, then she made a decision. Take him to the bridge, she ordered the guards. Lyra, prepare all weapons, full power. On the bridge, the crew worked frantically as the ship shook from another attack. The main screen showed 3 black ships approaching. They had no clear shape, seeming to shift and change as they moved. Our weapons have no effect, the weapons officer reported. The shots are being absorbed. Kalara turned to Ethan. If you know these creatures, how do we fight them? You can't, not with standard weapons, Ethan said. But my ship has experimental technology designed specifically to fight the parasites. If you let me access your weapon systems, I might be able to modify them. The Admiral hesitated. Letting a human male touch the Empire's most advanced warship was unthinkable. But as another blast hit the ship, harder this time, she nodded. Do it, she ordered. But if this is a trick, it's not, Ethan assured her. He moved quickly to the weapons console. The Celestian officer moved aside reluctantly. Ethan's fingers flew over the alien controls. Years of studying Celestian technology were finally proving useful. He connected his personal device to their system and began transferring the specialized frequency codes. Their weapons target the molecular bonds of physical matter, he explained as he worked. That's how they break down ships and living tissue so quickly. But they're vulnerable to certain energy frequencies. Another blast hit the ship and several control panels exploded in showers of sparks. Hull breach on decks 5 through 8, someone called out. Seal those sections, Kalara ordered. She watched Ethan closely. Work faster, human. Ethan didn't respond to the pressure. He stayed focused on his task. Finally, he looked up. It's done. I've modified your main cannon to emit a quantum resonance field. It should disrupt their molecular structure. Kalara didn't waste time questioning him. Target the nearest ship and fire. The weapons officer followed her order. The Midnight Talon's main cannon fired a strange blue-white beam. When it hit the first void ship, the black surface seemed to ripple and distort. It's working, Lyra exclaimed. The void ship began to break apart, pieces of it dissolving into space. The other 2 ships immediately changed course, trying to flee. Target the second ship, Kalara ordered. Don't let them escape. The cannon fired again, destroying the second ship. The third managed to jump to hyperspace before they could target it. The bridge was quiet for a moment as everyone processed what had happened. Then Kalara turned to Ethan. It seems you were telling the truth, she said. But one ship escaped. It will return with others. Ethan nodded. They always do, and they'll be adapted to this weapon by then. The Admiral studied him with new interest. You've fought these creatures before. For years, Ethan said. My ship, the Defiant, was part of a special task force. We were testing new weapons against them when your Empire started attacking our colonies. That's why I was separated from my fleet. Kalara walked to the center of the bridge. Her crew watched nervously, waiting for her decision. It seems we have a common enemy, she said finally, one that threatens both our species. She turned to face Ethan directly. Tell me everything you know about these void parasites, Lieutenant Reeves, and then we will decide what to do next. For the first time since coming aboard, Ethan smiled slightly. I thought you'd never ask, Admiral. The stars looked like tiny white dots against the black emptiness of space through the large window of the Midnight Talon. Admiral Kalara Vexthal stood alone, watching them. Her silver eyes reflected the starlight as she thought about her next move. For 300 years, Kalara had been the most feared commander in the Celestian Empire. Her tall, blue-purple body was covered in a black uniform with many medals. Her long silver hair was tied back in a tight braid that reached her lower back. No one dared to look her in the eyes when she spoke, no one except the Empress herself. Admiral, a voice called from behind her. It was Lyra, her second in command. Lyra was shorter than Kalara, with lighter blue skin and short-cropped hair. The Empress wants to speak with you. Kalara nodded once and walked to the center of the bridge. She pressed a button on the control panel, and a large image of the Empress appeared in front of her. Kaylara bowed her head slightly. "My Empress," she said. "How may I serve the Empire today?" The Empress's face was stern. Her gold eyes narrowed as she spoke. "Admiral Vexthul, the human problem has grown worse. They have destroyed 3 more of our ships near their home system." Kaylara felt surprise but did not show it on her face. Humans were a new species the Empire had discovered only 50 years ago. They were primitive compared to the Celestians, who had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. How could they destroy 3 battlecruisers? "I will handle this myself, Empress," Kaylara said. "The Midnight Talon will crush this rebellion before it spreads." The Empress looked pleased. "Good. The humans must learn their place in our empire. All species must bow to Celestian rule. This is the natural order." Kaylara had heard these words many times before. The Empress believed that Celestians, especially the females, were superior to all other life forms. Celestian males were useful only for breeding and simple tasks. They were not allowed to command ships or make important decisions. In her 1,000-year life, Kaylara had never met a male of any species who impressed her. They were all weak or stupid or both. This was why she had never taken a mate despite many offers. None were worthy of her. "Set course for the human home system," Kaylara ordered after the Empress disappeared. "Full speed." "Yes, Admiral." Her crew responded at once. The massive warship turned smoothly and accelerated to faster than light speed. The stars stretched into long lines of light as they entered hyperspace. Lyra approached Kaylara's command chair carefully. "Admiral, we have reports about these humans. They are strange creatures." "Show me," Kaylara said. A screen lit up with images of humans. They had pale or brown skin, no scales, and hair only on their heads. They were shorter than Celestians and looked weak. "Their society is different from ours," Lyra explained. "Their males and females share power. Sometimes males are even in charge." Kaylara laughed. It was a cold sound that made several crew members look down nervously. "No wonder they are so primitive," she said. "Any society that lets males make decisions is doomed to fail. This will be an easy victory." 3 days later, the Midnight Talon reached the edge of the human solar system. It was a small system with only 8 planets around a yellow star. The humans lived on the 3rd planet, a blue and green world called Earth. "Scan for human ships," Kaylara ordered. The scanner operator worked quickly. "Admiral, we detect a small, human fleet near their moon. 20 ships in total." Kaylara smiled. The Midnight Talon was 3 times larger than all 20 human ships combined. Its weapons could destroy their entire fleet in minutes. "Open a channel," she said. "Let me speak to them before we attack." The communication officer nodded. "Channel open, Admiral." Kaylara stood tall as her image was transmitted to the human ships. "This is Admiral Kaylara Vexthul of the Celestian Empire. Your species has committed acts of war against the Empire by destroying our ships. Surrender now and submit to Celestian rule, or be destroyed." There was a long pause before a response came. The screen showed a human male with dark skin and short, black hair. He wore a blue uniform with small badges on his chest. "This is Admiral William Carter of Earth's United Defense Force," he said. "The ships we destroyed were attacking our colonies without warning. We acted in self-defense. We have no wish for war, but we will not surrender our freedom." Kaylara studied the human admiral. He spoke with confidence, but she saw only another weak male trying to sound brave. "You have 1 hour to reconsider," she told him. "After that, we will attack." She closed the channel and turned to her weapons. "Officer, prepare all weapons, target their largest ships first." "Yes, Admiral," the officer replied. Lyra looked concerned. "Admiral, our reports show the humans have unusual technology. They may be more dangerous than they appear." Kaylara waved her hand dismissively. "I have conquered 1,000 worlds, Lyra. These humans will be no different." As the hour passed, Kaylara studied the human fleet. They were moving into a defensive formation around their planet. It was a clever strategy, but it would not save them. "Admiral," the scanner operator suddenly called out. "A single human ship has broken formation. It's approaching us at high speed." Kaylara looked at the screen. A small ship was indeed heading straight for the Midnight Talon. "What are they doing?" Lyra asked. "It's too small to harm us." "Perhaps they wish to surrender," Kalara suggested. "Scan the ship." The scanner operator worked quickly. One life form aboard, human male. The ship is armed but not powering weapons. "They send a male alone?" Kalara laughed. "How typical. Bring the ship into our capture bay. I want to see what this human male has to say before we destroy their fleet." The Midnight Talon's powerful tractor beam locked onto the small human ship, pulling it toward the massive Celestian warship. Kalara felt curious. No species had ever sent a single person to face her before. "Admiral," the scanner operator called out in alarm, "the human ship's engine is showing strange energy readings." Before Kalara could respond, a bright flash of light erupted from the human ship. The Midnight Talon shuddered, and the lights on the bridge flickered. "What happened?" Kalara demanded. Lyra checked the damage reports quickly. The human reversed their warp core polarity. It created a feedback surge that disabled our tractor beam and damaged several systems. Kalara could not believe what she was hearing. No one had ever countered her technology like this. "Admiral," the communication officer said, "we're receiving a message from the human ship." "Show me," Kalara ordered. The screen lit up again, showing a human male with light skin and brown hair. His eyes were a striking blue color that reminded Kalara of the oceans on her homeworld. "Admiral Vexthul," the human said calmly, "my name is Lieutenant Ethan Reeves. I propose we talk before more lives are lost. There are things you need to know about why we fought your ships." For the first time in centuries, Kalara felt something new: curiosity. This human knew her name. He had disabled her ship's systems with a clever trick. And now, instead of running away, he wanted to talk. Bring him aboard, she decided. I will hear what he has to say. As her crew prepared to capture the human ship properly this time, Kalara wondered if this Ethan Reeves might actually be interesting. Not worthy, of course. No male could be worthy of her attention. But interesting, at least for a few minutes before she destroyed his world. She had no idea that this human was about to change everything she believed. In the war room of the Midnight Talon, Ethan stood before a large holographic display. The room was filled with Celestian officers, all watching him with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. Admiral Kalara sat at the head of the table, her silver eyes never leaving him. The void parasites first appeared in human space about 10 years ago, Ethan explained as he showed images on the display. This was the Jensen colony before the attack. The image showed a beautiful green planet, with small cities and farms. Then it changed to show the same planet months later, gray, dead, with no signs of life. They consume all organic matter, Ethan continued. Plants, animals, people. They break everything down to its basic elements and use it to grow. At first, we thought they were just mindless creatures. But then we discovered they were intelligent. Showed another image, this time of a human who looked normal except for strange black veins visible under the skin. They can infect living beings, Ethan said. Take over their bodies and minds. An infected person looks almost normal at first. They can speak, act like themselves, follow orders. But they're no longer human. They're extensions of the parasite collective. Lyra leaned forward. How do you identify them? Body temperature drops. Their blood chemistry changes, and they can't stand certain frequencies of light, Ethan replied. We developed scanners that can detect these changes. Admiral Kalara tapped her fingers on the table. If what you say is true, why hasn't the Empire detected these creatures before now? Ethan looked directly at her. I think they have. Your Empress knows about them. The room went silent. No one ever questioned the Empress or her knowledge. Careful, human, Kalara warned. That is dangerous talk. But necessary, Ethan insisted. The parasites didn't just appear. Our scientists found evidence they've been in this galaxy for thousands of years. They move slowly, consuming a few planets, then going dormant for centuries. They've been hiding, growing stronger. He changed the display to show star maps. We tracked their movements over the past decade. They follow specific patterns. And those patterns led us to discover something important. The map zoomed in to show a distant star system deep in Celestian territory. This is where they're concentrating their forces. A system your empire calls Sil-Nathori. Kalara stood up, suddenly. That is the sacred home system of the empire. How do you know this name? Because the parasites are drawn there, Ethan explained. Something on your homeworld attracts them. They're not just consuming random planets. They're hunting, your species specifically. The Admiral's face showed rare emotion, concern, maybe even fear. What evidence do you have of this? Ethan connected his personal device to the display. These are recordings of parasite communications. We broke their code 2 years ago. Strange symbols appeared, followed by translations. Find the source. Return to origin. The old enemy awakens. The old enemy, Ethan said softly. That's what they call the Celestians. This isn't a random attack, it's a war that's been going on for thousands of years. Your people fought them before, a long time ago. Kalara turned away, looking troubled. These are just stories, myths from our ancient past, tales of the dark times before the Empire. They're not myths, Ethan insisted. The parasites remember, and they want revenge. The ship's alarm suddenly blared. A voice came over the communication system. Admiral to the bridge, emergency. Everyone rushed to the bridge. On the main screen was an image of a Celestian battle cruiser approaching the Midnight Talon. The Imperial Glory, Lyra said with relief. It must have been sent to assist us, but... Ethan stepped closer to the screen, studying the ship carefully. Scan it, he said urgently. Look for cold spots in the hull and unusual energy readings. Kalara hesitated only a moment before giving the order. Do as he says. The scan results appeared quickly. Large sections of the ship showed as dark blue, indicating low temperatures. Energy readings were erratic. It's infected, Ethan said grimly. The whole ship. There won't be any survivors. How can you be sure? Kalara demanded. The pattern matches other infected ships we've encountered. The parasites lower the temperature to slow decomposition of organic matter. They haven't fully processed yet. The communications officer spoke up. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the Imperial Glory. On screen, Kalara ordered. The face that appeared looked Celestian, but something was wrong. The skin was too pale, the eyes dull and empty. Admiral, Vexthal, the figure said in a flat voice. We bring orders from the Empress. You are to destroy the human vessel and continue your mission against Earth. Kalara studied the screen carefully. Captain Maris, report your ship's status. Why are your life support systems showing abnormal readings? The figure's expression didn't change. All systems normal, Admiral. Prepare to receive boarding party, with new orders. Ethan stepped closer to Kalara. Don't let them board, he whispered. Once they're on your ship, you'll lose control within hours. The Admiral turned to her weapons officer. Target their engines only, disable the ship. The officer looked shocked. Admiral, we cannot fire on an Imperial vessel. Do it now, Kalara ordered sharply. Before the officer could act, the Imperial Glory fired. The blast hit the Midnight Talon directly, shaking the massive ship. Return fire, Kalara shouted. Full power. This time the crew followed orders without question. The Midnight Talon's weapons struck the other ship's engines, disabling them. They're launching smaller craft, Lyra reported. Boarding vessels, heading straight for us. Ethan turned to Kalara. We need to use the modified cannon. It's the only way to stop them. The Admiral nodded. Target those boarding vessels and fire. The blue-white beam destroyed the small ships immediately. But the Imperial Glory was preparing its main weapons again. We need to leave, Ethan said. More ships will come. The parasites will call for reinforcements. Kalara looked at him with narrowed eyes. You want me to retreat? To abandon the mission given to me by the Empress herself? I want you to survive, Ethan replied, so you can learn the truth and save your people. For a long moment, Kalara was silent. Then she turned to her navigation officer. Set course for the Proxima system, she ordered. Maximum speed. Admiral, Lyra questioned, shocked. We're leaving? We're regrouping, Kalara corrected, to assess this new threat properly. As the Midnight Talon jumped to hyperspace, leaving the damaged parasite ship behind, Kalara turned to Ethan. If you're lying to me, human, if this is some trick to save your planet. It's not, Ethan interrupted. I can prove everything I've told you, but we need to move quickly. The parasites are spreading faster than ever before. Kalara studied him, trying to understand this strange human male who had changed everything in just a few hours. Come with me, she said finally. There's something you should see. She led him deep into the ship, to a secure area where few crew members were allowed. After scanning her eye and hand, a heavy door slid open. Inside was a small room with a single stasis pod. Floating inside the blue liquid was a Celestian male, his body partially covered in black veins. My brother, Kalara said quietly. Calran. He was captain of his own ship until 6 months ago. When he returned from a mission near the outer colonies, he was changed. I broke Imperial protocol by placing him in stasis instead of reporting him. Ethan moved closer to the pod, studying the infected Celestian. The infection is advanced, he observed. But not complete. There might be a way to save him. Kalara looked at Ethan with surprise. Save him? Our scientists said it was impossible. Human scientists have been working on a treatment, Ethan explained. We've had some success in the early stages of infection. I have the research data. On my ship. For the first time, Kalara's cold expression softened slightly. Why would you help him? Help us? We came to conquer your world. Ethan looked at her directly. Because the parasites are the real enemy. They won't stop with Earth or the Celestian Empire. They'll consume everything if we don't stop them. He paused, then added, and because it's the right thing to do. Kalara had never heard a male speak with such conviction. In that moment, she realized this human was unlike any male she had encountered in her long life. You are not what I expected, Lieutenant Reeves, she admitted. Call me Ethan, he said with a small smile. If we're going to save the galaxy together, we might as well use first names. Kalara almost smiled back, but caught herself. We should return to the bridge. We'll reach Proxima soon, and we need a plan. As they walked back through the ship, Kalara found herself watching Ethan more closely. There was something about him that puzzled her. He wasn't afraid of her as most were. He challenged her yet respected her authority. And most surprisingly, he seemed to care about saving her brother, a male Celestian, who meant nothing to him. Perhaps, she thought, this human might actually prove to be interesting. The Proxima system was quiet when the Midnight Talon arrived. 3 planets orbited a red dwarf star. The second planet had been a human colony until recently. Now it was abandoned. The people evacuated after the first parasite attacks. Scan the system, Admiral Kalara ordered. Make sure we're alone. As the crew carried out her orders, Ethan studied the star maps on the bridge display. His ship, the Defiant, was docked in the Midnight Talon's bay. He had transferred important data from it to the Celestian systems. The scans show no other ships, Admiral, Lyra reported. The system appears clear. Kalara nodded. Good. We'll remain here while we develop our strategy. She turned to Ethan. Show me what you found. Ethan brought up new images on the main screen. These are records from Earth's deep space telescopes. They show parasite activity over the past 5 years. The display showed dozens of black spots moving slowly through the galaxy. Most were concentrated in one area, deep in Celestian space. They're gathering here, Ethan pointed, near your homeworld, but they're not attacking directly. They're being careful, moving ships into position first. For a full invasion, Kalara said grimly. Yes, and they're using infected Celestian ships as cover, Ethan agreed. That's why your empire hasn't noticed. The ships still respond correctly to identification codes. They still follow normal patrol routes, but they're no longer under Celestian control. Kalara's face showed rare concern. How many ships do you estimate have been taken? Ethan hesitated. Based on our tracking, at least 30% of your outer fleet. The bridge went silent. The Celestian Empire had thousands of ships. If that many were already infected, this cannot be possible, Lyra said. Our security protocols are good, but the parasites are better at adapting than you realize, Ethan said. They learn from each species they consume. They've had thousands of years to perfect their methods. Kalara walked to the window looking out at the red dwarf star. The Empress must be warned. I agree, Ethan said. But we need proof she'll believe. And we need to be careful how we approach this. If the parasites have infiltrated the Imperial court, watch your words, human, Kalara warned. You speak of treason. I speak of survival, Ethan countered. The parasites target leadership first. It's their standard strategy. They take over those with the most authority, then use them to prevent others from discovering the truth. He brought up another image. A Celestian female in elaborate robes. This was taken at the Imperial Palace 3 months ago. Look at her eyes, her skin tone. Kalara studied the image. The female was Lady Vornax, a close advisor to the Empress. But her eyes had a dull quality, and her skin was paler than normal. This proves nothing, Kalara said, but her voice lacked conviction. We can prove it, Ethan insisted. I've developed a way to scan for parasite infection at a distance. If we can get close enough to the Imperial Palace, we can see how far the infection has spread. Kalara considered his words. What he suggested was dangerous, possibly treasonous. But if he was right... First, we should test your treatment on my brother, she decided. If it works, that will be proof enough of your good intentions. Ethan nodded. I'll need to transfer the formula from my ship to your medical bay, and I'll need your best medical officer to help me. Dr. Solara is our chief medical officer, Kalara said. She has studied unusual diseases for centuries. She will assist you. In the medical bay, Ethan worked quickly with Dr. Solara, a serious Celestian female with dark blue skin. They prepared the treatment while Calrin's stasis pod was brought in. The formula targets the parasite's unique cellular structure, Ethan explained as they worked. It breaks the connection between the parasite and the host without harming the host's tissues. Dr. Solara studied the human's work with growing respect. Your species has accomplished much in a short time. This approach is innovative. We had to learn fast, Ethan said. The parasites hit us hard before we understood what they were. When everything was ready, they carefully removed Calrin from the stasis pod. The Celestian male looked similar to Kalara, with the same silver eyes, though his skin was a darker purple. The black veins covered much of his neck and face. The infection is advanced, Dr. Solara noted with concern. I'm not sure any treatment will work at this stage. We have to try, Ethan said. He looked at Kalara, who stood watching silently. I can't promise it will work, but it's his best chance. Kalara nodded once. Proceed. They administered the treatment through an injection directly into Calron's bloodstream. Then they waited, monitoring his vital signs closely. For a long time, nothing happened. Then slowly the black veins began to fade. Calrin's skin color improved and his breathing became stronger. It's working, Dr. Solara said with amazement. The parasite cells are dying. Ethan watched the monitors carefully. His brain activity is increasing. That's a good sign. After 2 hours, Calron opened his eyes. He looked confused at first, then recognized his sister. Kailara, he said weakly. Where am I? The Admiral moved closer to her brother. You're on the Midnight Talon. You were infected by a parasite. This human, Ethan Reeves, has treated you. Calron looked at Ethan with surprise. Human? Why would a human help me? Because we face a common enemy, Ethan explained. One that threatens both our species. Calron struggled to sit up. I remember parts of it, being trapped in my own mind, watching as my body followed their orders. They're planning something big, Kalara. Something that will destroy the Empire. What do you remember? Kalara asked urgently. They talked about the awakening, Calron said. Something hidden on our homeworld that they fear. Something they need to destroy before it fully activates. Ethan exchanged a look with Kaelara. The old enemy, he said. Whatever the parasites, fear is on your homeworld. Calran nodded. They've infiltrated the Imperial Court. Many high-ranking officials are already infected. Even the Royal Guard has been compromised. And the Empress? Kaelara asked quietly. Calran hesitated. I don't know. They were very careful about who could approach her, but they were planning to infect her soon if they haven't already. Kaelara turned away, her face troubled. Her entire life had been dedicated to serving the Empress and the Empire. The thought that both might already be lost was almost too much to bear. Ethan approached her carefully. Admiral, we need to act quickly. If your brother's information is correct, the entire galaxy is at risk. Kaelara faced him, her silver eyes intense. What do you suggest, Lieutenant Reeves? We need to go to your homeworld, Ethan said. Find whatever the parasites fear and use it against them. But first, we need allies. What allies? Kaelara asked. If the Imperial Court is compromised, who can we trust? Earth, Ethan said simply. The human fleet has been fighting the parasites for years. They have weapons and shields designed specifically to combat them. Kaelara laughed without humor. You expect me to ask humans for help? To admit that the mighty Celestian Empire cannot solve its own problems? I expect you to do whatever it takes to save your people, Ethan replied calmly. Even if that means working with a species you consider inferior. For a long moment they stared at each other. Then Calran spoke up from his bed. Sister? He's right, he said. I've seen what these creatures can do. They will consume everything if we don't stop them. Pride won't matter if we're all dead. Kaelara closed her eyes briefly. When she opened them, her decision was made. Set course for the Earth system, she ordered. Maximum speed. As the Midnight Talon prepared to jump to hyperspace, Kaelara found Ethan on the observation deck looking at the stars. Your treatment saved my brother, she said. For that, I thank you. Ethan turned to face her. You're welcome. But saving one life won't matter if we can't stop the parasites. You truly believe our species can work together? Kaelara asked. After everything that's happened? I do, Ethan said. Humans and Celestians have more in common than you might think. We're both stubborn, proud, and willing to fight for what we believe in. Kaelara studied him curiously. You are not like the males of my species. They accept their place without question. They do not challenge females as equals. Is that why you've never taken a mate? Ethan asked. Because you found them all unworthy? Kaelara was surprised by the personal question. Yes, she admitted. In 1,000 years, I never met one who could stand as my equal, who could challenge me and earn my respect. Maybe you were looking in the wrong places, Ethan suggested with a small smile. Before Kaelara could respond, the ship jumped to hyperspace, stars stretching into lines of light around them. They were heading to Earth to form an alliance that would have seemed impossible just days ago, and Kaelara found herself wondering if perhaps, after 1,000 years, she had finally met a male worthy of her attention. The Earth fleet was ready for battle when the Midnight Talon appeared. 50 ships formed a defensive line around the planet, weapons locked on the massive Celestian warship. They're hailing us, Admiral, Lyra reported. Put them through. Kaelara ordered. Admiral William Carter's face appeared on the screen. His expression was hard, suspicious. Admiral Vex Thule, he said coldly. You returned to our system after taking one of our officers. I hope you have a good explanation. Before Kaelara could speak, Ethan stepped into view. Admiral Carter, this is Lieutenant Reeves, he said. I'm here willingly. We need to talk, all of us. The situation is more serious than we realized. Carter looked surprised. Ethan, you're alive? And well, Ethan confirmed. Admiral Vex Thule has learned about the Void parasites. They've infiltrated the Celestian Empire. We need Earth's help. There was a long pause as Carter considered this information. Permission to dock at Earth Defense Station Alpha, he finally said. But be warned, Admiral Vexthal. Your ship will be surrounded by our fleet at all times. Kalara nodded. Understood, Admiral Carter. As the Midnight Talon moved toward the space station, Kalara turned to Ethan. Your Admiral doesn't trust me, she observed. Can you blame him? Ethan replied. A week ago, you were here to conquer us. The docking procedure went smoothly. Kalara, along with Ethan, Lyra, and Dr. Solara, left the ship to meet with the human leaders. Calrun stayed aboard, still recovering from his treatment. The space station was smaller than Celestian facilities, but impressive for such a young species. Humans in blue uniforms watched the Celestians with cautious curiosity as they walked through the corridors. In the main conference room, Admiral Carter waited with several other human leaders. They stood as the Celestians entered. Admiral Vexthal, Carter said formally. Welcome to Earth Defense Station Alpha. Kalara nodded in acknowledgement. Thank you for agreeing to this meeting. For the next hour, Ethan and Kalara explained everything they had learned about the parasite invasion. They showed the evidence, the scans, the data, and the recorded testimony of Calrun. The human leaders listened with growing concern. If what you say is true, a woman named General Olivia Blackwood said, then we face a threat greater than anything in human history. It is true, Kalara confirmed. I have seen the evidence with my own eyes. The parasites have infiltrated the highest levels of my government. They plan to destroy something on our homeworld, something they fear. Admiral Carter leaned forward. And you want our help to find this weapon or whatever it is? Yes, Kalara said simply. Your species has developed effective countermeasures against the parasites. My ship alone cannot reach the homeworld through parasite-controlled space. The human leaders exchanged looks. We would need to send a significant force, General Blackwood said. Ships we can't spare from Earth's defense. Ethan stepped forward. The best defense is to stop the parasites at their source. If they fear something on the Celestian homeworld, that's our best hope for defeating them. After more discussion, the humans agreed to meet privately to consider the request. Kalara and her officers were shown to a waiting area. They will refuse, Lyra predicted. Why should they risk their ships to save our empire? Because they understand that the parasites won't stop with us, Kalara replied. If the Celestian Empire falls, Earth will be next. An hour later, they were called back to the conference room. Admiral Carter stood to address them. We've made our decision, he said. Earth will join forces with the Midnight Talon on one condition. This alliance must be official. We want a formal agreement that if we succeed, the Celestian Empire will recognize Earth as a sovereign power, not a potential conquest. Kalara hesitated. Such an agreement would normally require the Empress's approval. But if the Empress was already infected, I accept your condition, she said firmly. As Admiral of the Imperial Fleet, I have the authority to make such arrangements in times of crisis. The agreement was prepared quickly. Both Kalara and Admiral Carter signed it, marking the first peace treaty between humans and Celestians. We'll prepare our ships immediately, Carter said. The Horizon, our most advanced vessel, will join the Midnight Talon. Captain Olivia Blackwood will command it. How soon can you be ready? Kalara asked. 24 hours, Carter replied. We need to equip all ships with the parasite countermeasures. As the meeting concluded, Ethan approached Kalara. That was impressive, he said. Not many leaders would have the courage to make such a decision without consulting their government. I may have committed treason, Kalara admitted quietly. If the Empress is not infected, she could order my execution for this. You've done what's necessary to save your people, Ethan said. That's not treason, it's leadership. Back on the Midnight Talon, Kalara found Calron in the medical bay. He was sitting up, looking much stronger. How did it go? He asked. The humans will help us, she told him. We leave for the homeworld tomorrow. Calron studied his sister's face. Something troubles you. I've spent my entire life believing in the superiority of our species, particularly our females, Kalara said. I despised males for their weakness, their acceptance of a lesser role, but now you've met a male who challenges those beliefs, Calron finished for her. The human, Ethan Reeves. Kalara didn't deny it. He is different. He does not fear me as our males do. He speaks his mind, even when he knows I might disagree. And he has shown more courage than many Celestian warriors I've known. Calren smiled slightly. Perhaps it's time to reconsider some of your beliefs, sister. 24 hours later, the combined fleet was ready. 10 human ships, led by the Horizon, joined the Midnight Talon. Together, they jumped to hyperspace, headed for the heart of the Celestian Empire. On the bridge of the Midnight Talon, Ethan stood beside Kalara as they reviewed the battle plan. The parasites will have heavy defenses around the homeworld, he said. We'll need to use both our technologies to break through. Kalara nodded. The human ships will lead with their parasite-disrupting weapons. Once a path is clear, the Midnight Talon will move in, protected by your countermeasures. And when we reach the surface, Ethan asked. According to ancient texts, there is a sacred temple in the capital city, Kalara explained. It was built over the remains of something our ancestors called the Guardian, a being or machine that supposedly protected our world in the dark times. That must be what the parasites fear, Ethan said. If we can find it and activate it, then we might save both our worlds, Kalara finished. The journey took 3 days. As they approached Celestian space, they encountered the first parasite ships, former Celestian cruisers, now infected and controlled by the enemy. The battle was fierce. Human weapons proved effective against the parasite defenses, but there were many ships to fight through. The Midnight Talon's powerful shields protected the smaller human vessels when needed. Slowly, they made progress toward the homeworld. Ethan worked tirelessly, coordinating between the human fleet and the Celestian crew. Kalara found herself relying on him more than she had ever relied on anyone. Finally, they reached the homeworld, Celestia Prime. It was a beautiful planet with purple oceans and silver forests, but now dark patches were visible on the surface, areas where the parasites had already begun to spread. We're too late to save the whole planet, Ethan realized. The infection has started. But we can still save our people, Kalara insisted, if we can activate the Guardian. They fought their way through the orbital defenses. Several human ships were lost, and the Midnight Talon suffered heavy damage, but they succeeded in landing near the capital city. Kalara led a small team, including Ethan, Lyra, and soldiers from both species. The city was partly abandoned with signs of fighting everywhere. Some Celestians had resisted the parasite infection. The temple is this way, Kalara said, leading them through empty streets. They encountered infected Celestians along the way. The combined weapons of both species proved effective, but each encounter slowed their progress. Finally, they reached the ancient temple, a tall silver structure with symbols carved into its walls. The entrance was guarded by infected members of the Royal Guard. After a hard fight, they made it inside. The temple was dark, lit only by faint blue lights along the floor. The ancient texts say the Guardian Chamber is below, Kalara explained, as they descended a long staircase. At the bottom, they found a massive door covered in old Celestian writing. What does it say? Ethan asked. It's a warning, Kalara translated. It says, only those worthy may awaken the Guardian. The unworthy will be consumed. Worthy how? Lyra asked nervously. Before Kalara could answer, they heard sounds behind them. More infected Celestians were coming. We need to open it now, Ethan urged. Kalara placed her hand on the door. Nothing happened. It needs something more. A key, perhaps. Ethan studied the symbols carefully. These patterns, they're similar to the parasite communication codes we decoded, but inverted somehow. He touched the door next to Kalara's hand. Suddenly, the symbols glowed bright blue. The door began to open slowly. How did you do that? Kalara asked, amazed. I didn't, Ethan said. We did. Together. Inside was a large chamber with a single platform in the center. On it rested a crystal structure that pulsed with blue energy. The Guardian, Kalara whispered.